Well, that's it for today's broadcast. Welcome to SARE Nutritional Therapy. I'm your host, TL Matthew. I'm the founder of Some Foods, the maker of Some Sweet, and also a nutritional therapist. On this broadcast, we talk about health news and information as it applies to your everyday life. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Yes, that means like the video. And we want to hear from you. So comment if you have something that you want to share with us. And subscribe to all of our social medias. And now, on to the broadcast. Well, hello, 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 hello. If there's a day for technical difficulties, I will find it, right? This going live thing, I'm gonna have to find I really like this platform, but it seems as though, well, they're experiencing technical difficulties today. So I'm not sure if this is going live actually everywhere because um, they've said that there are some outages. So with that being said, I'm just gonna we're going to go on here and see what happens. Again, my name is Teresa T.L. Matthew. I'm the founder of Some Foods, the maker of Some Sweet, which is the most spectacular sweetener that there is on the market. I like to say that because that is the sweetener. That is what helped me to actually overcome my sugar addiction. If you'd like to get a hold of Some Sweet, you can go to the website at swmsweet.com. That's somesweet.com, and you can get the sweetener from there. I'm also a nutritional therapist. Um, the name of my practice, as well as the name of this broadcast, is SARE, or it stands for Sugar Addiction is Real Nutritional Therapy. That was the name. That's the name of my practice. No longer practicing, but I do like to share information with you, and that's why I'm bringing you all of these wonderful special guests in the future that will be sharing with you nutrition information and their practice as well, so that you can find someone in your area who can assist you. And maybe they don't have to be in your area, because now with the advent of internet, we can just, we can just Zoom everything, right? So we know how to do that. Okay, so with enough of that housekeeping. So today I thought that I hadn't actually planned or scheduled anything for today. What I was well, I did. I had planned something, but I did not upload the card. What I was, because I was trying to really see if I wanted to go down this route, because there were two things that I wanted to do. So I wanted to talk to you about healthy foods that you can find at fast food restaurants. The reason why I was doing this was because I noticed that I see a lot of different broadcasts and things that where people are when people are talking, and they're in particular they're talking about diabetes, and this is Diabetes Awareness Month. So just so that you know, this is Diabetes Awareness Month. If you don't know whether or not you are at risk for diabetes or pre-diabetes, you can always go over to oh, that's mom. I didn't mute my mic. You can always go over to the American Diabetes Association, and you can, they have some assessments over there that you can take to find out if you're a risk for diabetes. So, but with that being said, um, I saw, I saw a lot of different, I see them all the time. A lot of different broadcasts and things, and hear about it too, where people are saying, when you eat out, that and one of the people I listen to a lot and I like to listen to says that Popeye's chicken is giving folks diabetes, and in the Black community, and all of this, and people are getting diabetes from eating fast food and Popeye's chicken and all of that. When the truth be told, diabetes, the source of it is a lot different than just Popeye's chicken. I mean, we've discussed here enough to know that it is related to your sugar consumption and the amount of sugar and carbs that you eat. So I thought that, and when I was driving down the street, I saw that there were so many fast food restaurants, like just in a little, a very small area. There's like 20 fast food restaurants, and I'm like, and I was observing it last night, and I was saying that I was like, wow, it's so many restaurants. It's how can each one of them, are they really making it? Or, are they successful? How are they, how are they surviving? I mean, it's just like it's a lot of fast food restaurants. I was like, so basically nobody cooks at home, right? And we're always so busy. And I mean, the pandemic allowed us enough time to slow down. But you know what? I noticed that even when the pandemic allowed us enough time to slow down, people still are eating out, and eating out a lot. So with that being said, I thought we'd take a look at and find healthy foods at these restaurants. And so as I was doing some research on that, what I saw was that they're counting, they're doing a lot of calorie counting. And so like if you go to the menu board at the restaurant, you'll see that it's going to tell you how many calories are in the food, right? And it will tell you, it might even tell you the amount of fat that's in the food, maybe. But I know calories, it tells you how many calories, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Because actually, I mean, I know that we're calories in, calories out kind of thing. We've been taught that you have to get, that if you get, if you live on, if you have a basically the food pyramid says, and that's from the USDA. So the food pyramid says that, everything on the back of all of our food packages is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. And so that 2,000 calorie diet, if we from that we get all of our units for macronutrients and micronutrients. And then on the food pyramid, it has that you should eat this much fruits and veggies, this much grains, this much protein, this much, from dairy, this much fat. And so it's all listed out there. And I mean, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that we've experienced, because there's a lot of us who have been on the up and down the yo-yo dieting system, and done and tried a lot of diets where you were counting calories, and that did not work. And I say look at the evidence of things that actually work. And so, and part of the science behind weight loss, and which I like the term fat loss, because that's really what we're trying to lose is fat, right? So let's just keep that at the forefront of our minds. So what I like to say is look at the science. And so having, trained with science based nutrition, what we can see is that first of all, we know that everybody is different. So with all the differences, calories count, and with the evidence already in our rear view, we know that calorie counting does not really work. Because what has calorie counting done for a lot of us? It put us in this yo-yo cycle, right? So we're in this yo-yo dieting cycle. We cut calories, and then we've cut calories so much to where we've done damage to our bodies by trying to cut calories, and then we go and try and exercise off all of those calories. Now I remember I saw this young lady, and she had a little weight on her, and she started, and I remember this was it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago or so, and she started doing this plan called If It Fits Your Macros, right? So it was basically if it fits your macros. So the way that if it fits your macros works is that anything that fits within your macros. Now, if you don't know what macros are, I'm going to tell you here. Macros are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats, right? So you have a certain amount you calculate, and I'm not going to go into detail of how that program actually works, but basically, you know what your macronutrient counts are for the day, and you eat anything up to your macronutrient counts. And that means anything, nothing was off limits. And that actually worked for her, and she lost weight. Now, how much weight she lost and whether she was able to keep it off, I don't know, because I no longer, I don't see her anymore. And we've since moved to different locations. But in the initial, it worked for her. So that was the start of seeing that, okay, yeah, there's something to this when you count your macronutrients. Early on, years ago when I was younger, and a lot of you might remember this, and I can't remember exactly when or the time frame of it, but there was a diet, still exists. It's called the Atkins Diet. Well, the Atkins Diet is basically a high protein, low carbohydrate diet, and I think it is a low fat, low fat diet. So it's high protein, low carbs, and low fat. So basically, a lot of people were eating the proteins, and so when they were doing that, so again, we have carbs, protein, fat. Those are macronutrients. And so that diet, a lot of people lost weight with that. Then you have the carnivore diet, and I don't know when that actually came to be with the carnivore diet. And then we got everybody's favorite, where we are right now, that craze of keto, right? And so keto is a high protein, it's a high protein, moderate fat. I'm sorry, it's a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet. Again, let me say that again. It's a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet. Now, I don't know if it's because of internet and social media that keto has become so popular, and that there's people making foods for it, and we use it in our advertising and marketing and all of that. I don't know if it's because of that or not. But keto has really taken off like gangbusters, and a lot of people are doing keto, and we have been able to witness the success of people just doing keto. Now, there's different types of keto. There's clean keto, strict keto, and dirty keto. But basically, it's about getting you into ketosis. The other form, and I think that Miss Constance has said that when what she did was she does some intermittent fasting, and so keto along with intermittent fasting has yielded a lot of people great results. But basically, it's all about portion control. Even with all of those, with every single one of those diets, it requires portion control, and all of them require you to restrict your carbs. So, with that being said, we're going to look at some healthy eating options that you can get at various restaurants. Now, I'm just pulling this from a magazine, and the reason why or from online, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to go into the fact that we need to also look beyond the carbohydrates that I'm sorry, look beyond the calories that it's saying, and the protein, and the fat that it's saying. And we need to try and determine the protein, but even more than that, we need to try and determine the amount of carbs that is in the meal. Okay, because regardless, you can get carbs from your protein, just a little bit, because excess protein will turn into sugar in your body. So you don't want to get too much protein. Fat is about the only thing that does not turn into carbs in your body. Okay, so fat is its own energy source, and so it does not turn into carbs. So with that being said, we need to know how many carbs is in these healthy food options. And so these are the magazines, these are the articles and things that you would find and that you would be reading, and they say, hey, these are healthy options. And you look at the calorie count on the menu board at the restaurant, and you go, oh wow, that's great, and you're counting calories. But I want you to not only count calories, I want you, as you're counting those calories, to count the carbs, because carbs is really where your fat is coming from. The fat that you're storing on your body is coming from the carbs that you eat. Okay, so you can, and remember, there are good carbs and there are bad carbs. A good carb is going to be whole grains, right? So it's going to be whole grains. It's going to be, that's wheat, quinoa, brown rice, things like that, corn. All of these fall into the category of being whole grains and being good carbs. I would pull back on the corn a little bit because it is a carb. It's definitely a carb, but it is a very high carb, and it can be a fast digesting carb depending on how it's cooked and how it's processed. Okay, so with that being said, I want to, and then there are the bad carbs, which is anything with excess sugar, white bread, white rice, and sometimes potatoes, depending on how they're cooked. Now, remember, we've talked here before about the starch that's in potatoes is it can be simple and it can raise your blood sugar. But if you cook that potato, and the same with rice. So I do want to say that. But if you cook the potato or you cook the rice and you let them get cold, go completely cold, and then you reheat them, it develops something called resistant starch. And resistant starch is harder to digest and doesn't process and turn into sugar in your blood as fast because it is what we say resistant. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start breaking down some of the foods and the from the menu boards at the fast food restaurants. And we're going to calculate the carbs. I'm going to pull out my calculator here and we're going to calculate the carbs. Now, how do we calculate the carbs? So we'll go over that, and I'm hoping that my computer doesn't slow down on me, but and the internet freeze. But we're gonna try. Okay. So how do you calculate the carbs? So you wanna calculate the grams of carbs from calories, because no matter what type of diet plan that you're on, you're gonna want to make sure that that your carbs, you keep your carbs fairly moderate to low if you're trying to lose fat. Okay. If you're trying to lose fat, you want moderate to low carbohydrate intake. Okay. And that would be like 60 grams of carbs or less for a maintenance type of thing per day. And and in particular, I'm really trying to focus on it. It doesn't really, I'm not trying to say that with your complex carbs, but mostly with the simple carbs. You really want to eliminate those. If your complex carbs make your carb count a little higher, that would be okay. It's coming in with fiber, but it would be okay. Okay. If that makes sense, because the simple carbs are really what's going to go and push your weight up, push the fat storing up. It's going to really increase that. The simple carbs will. Okay, so how do you calculate carbs from calories? Basically, to convert the carbohydrate intake from calories to grams, you do it by dividing by 4. So you want to divide whatever the calorie it is. You want to, because there's 4 calories per gram. So you want to divide the calories by 4, and that will tell you how many calories there are in the food. And so also, because on the menus, what it's showing us is that it shows us the fat that's there. So you want to know how many grams, how many calories are, or how many grams of fat are in a calorie. So we want to go over, we want to calculate those things out as well. So if you're looking at, I'm sorry, and I'm hope everything is still going good here. So if you're looking at your carbohydrates, if you're looking at the calories, you want to know that there are 4 calories in a gram for carbohydrate, okay? And fat yields 9 calories. So for a gram of fat, there's 9 calories. For a gram of carbohydrate, there's 4 calories. So if you're trying to figure out the fat, it would be divisible by 9. If it was just fat you were trying to figure, and if you're trying to figure out the calories, it's divisible by 4. I'm sorry, the carbs is divisible by 4. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to pull this up to look at, and I want to go back here because I was going through and trying to find some great options, and I went almost all the way through this one. So let's see here. Let me get there. All right, so when this opens back up, so let's see here. Everything is moving. It's not moving as fast as I would want it to move, but, and that's because my computer froze earlier. So we're gonna look at the different restaurants, and we're gonna see what, and I don't know where some of these restaurants are, so they may be in your locale and maybe not in other locales. So I'm not gonna skip any of them, but these are some healthy fast food orders that you can get, and it's basically from every restaurant chain. And like I said, some of these may be in your locale. So first off, there's Arby's roast turkey farmhouse salad. So it has, so if you like Arby's, this is roasted turkey. So and it has diced bacon, and so it's basically like a turkey club sandwich without the bun. Okay. So it has 240 calories and 13 grams of fat. So we're not counting calories, right? I mean, we are, but what's more important, the calories or the macros? Right? The macros. That's what's more important. And which macro in particular? The carb. That's what's important. So it tells us that it's got 13 grams of fat. So there's 13 grams of fat that's in that 240 calories. So we're just going to go and pull out, we're just going to go for the 240 calories. And we know that, remember I told us, I'm going back over here, each gram of fat yields 9 calories. So we got 13 grams. So if we go, so 9 times 13 is 117. So 117 of those calories in that 240 calorie salad, 117 of those we can attribute to fat, right? And so now if we subtract the 240, the 117 from the 240, we see that there are 123 calories remaining. And we'll divide that by 4, if my calculator works with me. And so that will tell us how many calories are there. And it looks like it's approximately 30 calories. I'm sorry, 30 carbs. Okay. So again, that was 13 grams of fat. So we're going to multiply the 13 times 9. Oops. 13 times 9. That gives us 117 calories. We subtract 117 from 240. That leaves 123 calories. And then we divide that by 4, because that's, remember, there are 4 calories, or 4 grams, I'm sorry, 1 gram of carb is 4 calories. Okay. And so when we divide that by 4, we get 30. Okay. So that's 30. So in that salad, there are 30 grams of carb. But the thing about the salad is it has bacon in it. It shows that, and then of course it has turkey. But then we're also not counting the protein, right? So we're not counting the protein. But when we look at this, there's a lot of lettuce there, right? And so that's not bad. It's complex, and that would not be a bad thing. And there's probably some other things in this salad that I can't see that it's not showing, but I can see that there are tomatoes there and there's cheese there, right? So yeah, so let's see here. Okay, I'm just doing some math here. Okay. So yeah, so that's about 30 grams of carbs in that salad. So let's look at another one. That was a salad. Again, here's another salad where that restaurant is, but it's a salad as well, and it has in there, it's full of greens, peppers, olives, feta cheese, chickpeas, and other veggies, and it's 260 calories and 13 grams of fat. Okay. So we calculated already one salad. So what about rotisserie, Boston Market's rotisserie chicken bowl? So it has 330 calories and 13 grams of fat. So we can already know that 13 grams of fat is going to be 117 calories, right? I think we did that a couple of times there, right? So we already know that that's going to be 13 times 9 is 117. And we're going to take 330. We're going to subtract 117. Oops. 330 minus 117. Calculators don't work for me sometimes. All right. So that's 213, and we divide it by 4. 53 carbs in there. And inside of that, I can see that it looks like that rotisserie bowl. Let's see. It says skip the gravy and go for a double portion of fresh steamed vegetables and green beans over the mashed potatoes and corn. You can pass on the potatoes and go for a double veggies for the entire healthier option. So this is over mashed potatoes. So there's mashed potatoes and there's corn. Both of those are extremely high carb vegetables, and mashed potatoes in itself. That's really, remember we talked about the way that you cook a potato makes a difference. And so that is going to be super high in carbs, and that is not a good option. You definitely just want to do this with steamed veggies and green beans. That's it. I mean, even the gravy on top. So the gravy is going to either have cornstarch or flour. And seeing that was a restaurant, it's probably cornstarch. The gravy looks like a cornstarch gravy. Doesn't look like a homemade flour gravy. So you can see that this is a super high carb meal, even though it's got a whole chicken breast in there, it looks like. But the rest of that is totally high in carbs. Even though it's 330 calories and 13 grams of fat, this is a no-go for anybody. If you're on a weight loss, a fat loss, or just want to be completely healthy, you do not want those. You do not want this side, this portion. You don't want this. Potatoes and corn together in a meal like that with gravy? No. No, 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 no. Not a healthy option at all. So, next on this list is from Chick-fil-A, is a grilled chicken cool wrap. So it says that inside of this is a grilled chicken breast rolled with lettuce, shredded cabbage, carrots, and cheese in a flaxseed flour flatbread. Now already, This is 350 calories and 13 grams of fat. Now, I don't know what's the magic. Is 13 the magic number here? Because everything has 13 grams of fat. Mm. So, and then I see that it's got a little dipping sauce next to it. Now, people, now we just went over that. What was it? The Boston Market, uh, the rotisserie chicken bowl, 330 calories. Now here we are with the Chick-fil-A grilled chicken cool wrap, 350 calories, 13 grams of fat. And we're going, wow, this is really great. And this is a great bread, a flaxseed flour flatbread. It seems like this should be a really good option. Again, it's 350 calories. We already know you take 117 from 350 because it's 13 grams of fat. So 13 times 9 is 117. You subtract that from the 350. So we're going to go 350 minus 117. Somebody out there, you probably already done the math, right? That's 233. You divide that by 4. It's 58 calories. 58 grams of carb in there. And it doesn't look like there is enough. And I will say this, it doesn't look like there is enough fiber in this, even though it's flaxseed and it's flour flatbread. So it says it's got shredded cabbage. That's a carb, and that's a complex carb, and that's good. And it's got carrots. That's a starchy carb, but yet it's complex as well, and that's good. But something is going on here, right? So there's something going on with these foods. Something. And I can't say what it is. Now imagine in that flatbread, there's probably some sugar in that flatbread, right? So that's going to inch those calories up, even though they're trying to express the fact that it's got flaxseed in it, super, super healthy. But yeah, something's going on here, okay? And I can't say exactly what it is. I see cheese on the sandwich, but we just really we want to be careful. We want to count the carbs. So here's another one. It seems a little bit better here. Chipotle's Burrito Bowl. Now, I'll be honest. I happen to like a Chipotle burrito bowl. If you go to a good Chipotle, because every Chipotle, even though it's a chain, they're not equal. Because sometimes they don't put that cilantro in that rice, and it's not good. I'm just saying. But if you go there, go for the fajita steak and pinto beans, plus all the salsa and veggies your heart desires. And you can get plenty of protein without a lot of extra fat. Now, see, here they're trying to blame fat for the problem. Fat don't make you really gain weight, okay? Fat is a fuel source, right? And if the only way that you're going to have problem with fat is if you have gallbladder issues, and then you'll tend to run into some problems with fat. But fat isn't really putting fat on you, because fat is a fuel source, and it doesn't turn. I haven't read anywhere now in all my training, I did not learn that fat turns to sugar. That I didn't learn. So okay. So this is saying it, you can get all this protein without a lot of extra fat. Of course, you want to skip on the rice, and they suggest that you don't eat the guacamole or the cheese and opt for pico de gallo for flavor. Now, I agree. Opt for the pico for the flavor. Yes, indeed. But to skip the guacamole, nope. Not if you like avocado. Now, I'm not an avocado fan, but avocado is a good source of healthy omega-3 fats. So, you need to eat the avocado if you like avocado. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, they should not have mixed anything else with that avocado, because you don't need mayo with the avocado, because it's already creamy and fatty, and it's full of that kind of deliciousness if you like avocados. Now, I like an avocado, but I don't like an avocado because avocados taste like bananas to me, and I'm not a big fan of bananas. So, but that's just me. If I could get past the banana taste, I love the texture of the avocado. It's just the banana taste that I don't like. And it seems to overpower everything, kind of like bananas do as well. But that's a whole nother subject, right? Right. Okay. But cheese. Well, you don't want to put cheese on it because, well, cheese is probably, it says, going to have fat and it's going to have salt. But listen, if you vegan, skip the cheese. If you not, add you some cheese on there. Sprinkle you some cheese on there and sprinkle you a little sour cream on there, because we're not trying to really avoid that. We need that for energy. So we're going to get rid of the rice because we're not going to utilize the rice for energy. We're going to utilize everything else for energy, right? And fat is good for your brain. Okay. So, but we would want to, the way that we want to make that would be a little bit different. But according to what they're talking about here, a Chipotle burrito bowl has 330 calories and it has 8 grams of fat, right? So, and it's full of rice, right? So it's full of rice. So that's where you're getting all of those carbs from. Plus it has, it has some veggies on it, but you can get at Chipotle, they have the fajita veggies, which are onions and bell peppers. So you can get the onions, the bell peppers, some lettuce. You can throw your meat in there. You get your pico de gallo. You get that there. Ask them to bring some cilantro from the back and throw some cilantro up in that, and then put you some cheese and some little sour cream on there. There you got something that's it's a nice salad right there. You know. Oh, and don't forget your steak or your chicken. And if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, they do have a soy. Is it a it's an option. I don't know what they call it, but it's a vegan type option. It's a meatless option, but it replaces meat. So I'm not sure what kind of meat replacement it is, but it replaces meat. So if you like that, go for that. But again, 330 calories, 8 grams of fat. So they're saying that this is all really, really good because of the lower fat. They're calling it the healthier options because of the lower fat, but they're not taking into account the amount of carbs that's going to come with this. Now, do I have to go and figure this out for y'all? Or y'all already did this, didn't you? I know somebody out there already figured this out. So how do we calculate the fat? So we're going to take the fat from there. We're going to go 8 times 9. Ooh, we learned it in basic math. What is it? 72 minus 330 is 258 divided by 4, 64 and a half grams of carbs. Hey, that's your daily limit, right? Because if I said if you're doing mod, carbs, maintenance, whatever, you're gonna do 60 grams of carbs per day. One of these bowls, you're done. You're done for the day. You're done. From there, for the rest of it, if you're gonna eat again, like say you had this for lunch, say you really just had the whole Chipotle burrito bowl, because I like them. and I like them with the cilantro lime rice. Yes, I do. I just have to admit that. But if you're gonna have the bowl, for me, I can't eat a whole bowl. I can only eat half of the bowl, right? So, and that'll pretty much fill me up for the entire day. Now that's me. But if you're a bigger eater than that, then if you had that bowl for lunch, and say maybe you had a light breakfast, I don't know what you have for breakfast, maybe some coffee, no juice, because I'm not an advocate of drinking juice. Why? Because juice is just full of simple carbs. So you had some coffee for breakfast with just a little some sweet in your coffee. Yes, indeed. A little some sweet in your coffee to sweeten up your coffee. And you could have added some cream in there, right? For a little creaminess in your coffee. So you have your cup of coffee. And maybe you had a bowl of some type of healthy grain. We'll say oatmeal, because oatmeal is a whole grain. That's what you should have. That's what you should have had on this day. Oatmeal. So you had oatmeal, and then if you like, a little butter on there, a little pat of butter. And then if you want it sweet, you can sweeten it with some sweet. If you need to get some veggies, some fruit in there, I would say chop you up an apple and put it on there. Then you don't even need any some sweet to sweeten that. And then there you go. Coffee, your oatmeal. For lunch, you're going to have a Chipotle bowl, but you probably won't be able to finish it all. So you just have half of that. And then what are you going to have for dinner? You're going to have a nice big salad. right? And that's a full day of eating. And in between all of that, you're drinking what? You're drinking your water. You're drinking your water. How many of these do you need to get? Let's see. This is 16, so you need 64 ounces of, 64 ounces of water a day. And so you'll drink half. You'll drink four of these. That will give you your 64 or your 8-ounce glasses of water per day. That's what you do. That's what you do. Now, I'm let me see how we are for time, because I'll probably I see I'm over. I'm over on time today. But what do you all think about that? See, we didn't even get to cover all of that. But see, be careful when they're telling you that these are healthy options, right? They look, it can be deceiving. It can be deceiving. Now, if it's a salad and if it's lettuce, you can have all the lettuce you want, but go sparingly on the croutons. Okay, sparingly on the croutons, sparingly, on the cheese. But you can have some, right? You can have some cheese. Throw you some protein on there. Put you an apple in there, but you got to count it, because that counts for your carbs, right? So we want to be very careful in how we're doing this kind of thing. But when you're looking at these foods, just watch out for it. Watch out when they're telling you those calories. And so I've showed you today. Now this is a rough way of counting counting the carbs in the food, but it gives you a good ballpark for the amount of carbs that's in that food, right? So again, let me just make sure that we wrap up today, that that it's in there. Okay, um how many carbs to calories, right? So how many calories are in one carb? How many? Did I hear you say that? What'd you say? 4. Exactly right. So you're going to divide your calories by 4 when you're trying to figure out the carbs. Now, they're going to tell you how much fat is in there, because they like to do that, because we're in the side of the world where they believe that fat is making you fat. So they're going to tell you how much fat is in there, and how many calories in a gram of fat. How much? What is it? It's 9, right? So there's 9 calories to a gram of fat. So you're going to multiply the fat that it tells you, how many grams of fat. You're going to multiply that by 19. I'm sorry, by 19. By 9. You're going to multiply that by 9, get your total there, then subtract that from the amount of calories, and then take those calories that remain and divide it by 4. And that tells you how many grams of carb is in that meal that you're eating. Isn't that simple? Yeah, well, that gives you a good ballpark on that. All right. So thank you all for joining me today. It was great to talk to you. And I had made a little commercial, but I just got all carried away and talking about all of that. And yeah, but tomorrow we have a special guest that's going to be joining us. So it's Tiffany Manboat, and she is an author and a holistic nutritionist. So um, it's going to be great to have her on, and we're going to have a conversation with her, and she's going to be teaching us some more things. And wasn't Miss Constance great? Yes, she was. It was so wonderful to have her, and we're going to have her back. And hopefully the cameras are going to be working tomorrow, because, like I said, there's been some issues here with the platform. But with all that being said, I'm going to just remind you that you can get some sweet, right? So if you want to get a hold of some sweet, you can go to the website. That's swweet.com to get the some sweet. And thank you all for tuning in today. Until next time. Well, that's it for today's broadcast. Want to thank you all for tuning in. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this type of content. Also comment and subscribe to all of our social medias. Peace and blessings.